Hello, friends, and welcome to Tier 2 Neutral Items. It's been ages since we did the first one, and I don't even remember what I said. You probably don't either, so everyone should go watch it again. Woo! Anyways, today we're going to talk about Tier 2 items. So, a reminder, because I don't remember what I talked about either, some general rules. First of all, probably let the cores pick their items first. Yeah, I'm not going to say they're more important. Supports and cores, we're equals, but they probably should get priority on the neutral items. So let them go ahead and grab whichever ones they want first, which is kind of okay because there is kind of a difference in neutral items. Some are more meant for cores, some are more meant for supports. So you may actually get a tier 2 item when it drops. Otherwise, you might be waiting for the tier 3 item to drop, and then you get the hand-me-down tier 2s. But either way, that's fine. Just take what is available, and even if nothing fits you, just take whatever is best, because all of them offer something, so you might as well get something rather than nothing. And finally, I can't really tell you what the best item is every game for your hero. It really depends on the game. So what we will talk about is what each neutral item offers, or at least what I think of each neutral item, and I hope that'll help you make the decision for yourself, because you're going to have to. That's part of itemization. So let's get into it. Let's start with an easy one. Imp Claw. Pure damage is what I was going to write, except I realized that would probably confuse some of you in terms of pure damage versus what I'm talking about is that this thing offers only right-click damage. That is all this item is, and that's why it's pretty much a core item. It's not really something for supports, because, I mean, how many times have you been playing a support and you've thought, man, I really need more right-click damage, and then we'd be winning this game. If you're thinking that, you're not probably playing support correctly. You're probably trying to play a core role from a support position. Don't do that. A couple people may still want Imp Claw, because sometimes it does happen, right? Where maybe you're the position 4. This is a little more common for them, where they are a bit more responsible for doing damage because you have a lot of utility cores. That very rarely happens in a pub game, but sometimes it does, and so if you ever find yourself thinking, I just need right-click damage, this is the item for you. But it's probably not, like most of the time. However, there's another item that also seems very damage-based, the Grove Bow. But this one is a bit more likely to be a support item. Why? Because the Imp Claw only benefits whoever is holding it. However, the Grove Bow reduces the magic resistance of the enemy, and so your entire team benefits from that. Not just yourself, but any of your cores. So if you have, say, Alina, and she can't decide, she's like, the Grove Bow's kind of good, but so is, I don't know, the Essence Ring, let's say that. And she can't decide which. You can tell her, hey, why don't you take the Essence Ring? I will apply the Grove Bow for you, the magic resist. And now she gets benefits from both. So sometimes this can be a feasible support item. However, it probably means you don't really need anything else, because if you look at the item, it doesn't really offer any stats. It's pretty much an offensive item, and you're probably a ranged hero because, okay, some melee heroes will still take it, but usually it's a core melee hero. Support melee heroes don't usually touch this item. But for support ranged heroes, they can, because the attack range is nice, especially if you're looking to hit things like the Egg, Tombstone, wards, Veno wards in particular. The attack speed and the attack range help you quickly hit whatever that key target is, the Egg or Tombstone, for example. And then, just to give you a bit of math, because magic resistance is not simply plus or minus, if someone has the base resistance of 25% magic resistance and you hit them with the Grove Bow, they are now down to 16% magic resist. So this is pretty useful. I pick it up a lot on Jakiro, but many other ranged supports, when they don't need other things, could use this item. What those other things are, we're going to get to now. Vampire Fangs. So this is another kind of knock it out quickly, because even though there's a lot of text on here, you don't pick it up that often. Because a big appeal of this item is the 15% lifesteal and 6% spell lifesteal. And as a support, you really just don't do that much damage to need this. And in fact, even for most cores, this is relatively not... Okay, that's not true. The lifesteal is pretty good. The spell lifesteal is more minor. And for cores who are going to be jungling and taking little bits of damage, This really helps to offset that by lifestealing or spell lifestealing, and that helps them stay healthy to fight. And then in an actual fight, it also provides some benefits as they're throwing out a lot of spells or right clicks. And because they are cores, they do that. As supports, we don't throw out as much damage. It's just not the role. So those two kind of fall off. However, the plus 300 night vision is pretty cool. And in some games, that may be what you need. To be honest, I kind of, in no way trying to offend anyone, but I think if you need to watch an item on neutral items, then you're probably not going to make use of this plus 300 night vision. Sorry, guys. But at a really high level, some games are decided by who sees who first. And at night, most heroes have 800 night vision. Special shout out to Smoke of Deceit, which breaks at 1045 distance. What that means is many people will smoke at night, which is a mistake, unless you have a certain hero, like you can see on this bottom left list, because you're smoking into their jungle, your smoke breaks, and you still can't see them. And you don't know what to do. You're like, someone's here, but which way? Like, somewhere vaguely in front of me, but there's still another 200 units, 245 units to go before I can actually see them. Vampire Fangs fixes that. So it actually gives you 1100 night vision. And now, if you have default 800, and now you could smoke, and you will see someone, and you'll have 55, it's not very far, 55 distance before your smoke actually breaks. However, even as your smoke breaks, the enemy hero probably still can't see you because they only have 800 night vision, and if you're running in the front for your team, you will see the enemy first before your smoke breaks, allowing you to decide, if they're like stationary farming a camp, you'll decide, is this the guy I want to go on? Maybe, maybe not. And if it is the guy you want to go on, you can run up and you'll still have the initiating advantage. And in very close high-level games, sometimes that's all you need. And that's why, like, the lower you are, this night vision doesn't, like, really benefit you guys. Sorry. Now, for your own knowledge, which isn't strictly neutral items, but I think it's kind of good to know, and it does fit this Vampire Fangs idea. Bounty Hunter, Night Stalker, Slark, and Sniper all have default slightly or greatly more night vision, which is up here. Now, some other heroes have some skills that benefit them. So Luna, when she takes her passive, each level in her passive gives her that much extra night vision. Lycan, when he ults, he gets plus 1000 night vision. Batrider, when he uses Firefly, gets that vision. Winter Wyvern has both a talent, and when she has her Q active, she gets bonus plus 400. And Spirit Breaker has a talent as well. So, if you're against one of these heroes who sees... Because if you're an 800 base night vision hero and you get plus 300, guess what? Night Stalker still sees you before you see him, which kind of makes that benefit not so good. But like Bounty Hunter, you're now kind of on equal footing, a little higher than him even. Someone like Luna in the early levels, you see her first, but then afterwards she's going to see you first. So if you're against one of these heroes that can always see further, so like one of these first 4 heroes, or say Luna, or Winter Wyvern, or Spirit Breaker that take the talent, because they're always going to have the vision, they will probably see you first. Someone like Lycan, technically he can see you first if he's ulted, but most of the time when you're looking for Lycan, he's not ulted, so it's kind of like whatever. So if your team is about to smoke at night, maybe take Vampire Fangs and run in front for your team. Or if you're one of these heroes that already have advanced night vision, taking Vampire Fangs can extend your advantage even further, and you can see even farther than usual, and it's kind of absurd. So as a support, if you think vision is your issue, your team's issue, and that it's very much about who will initiate first, or like, if we don't get the stun on this guy quickly, he's going to escape, yeah, you could grab Vampire Fangs. And because you have a backpack, you could even leave it there and swap it in if no one else is using it. But to be honest, I rarely make use of this feature because I just don't think it's a very good support item, but I still spent a lot of time talking about it. Let's continue. Philosopher's Stone. This is my favorite. There's a lot of people's favorites because it gives you gold. Reliable gold, by the way, since they changed the how all that works. Reliable gold means you can't lose it when you die. So this is pretty good. And Because it has minus 30 attack damage, it's usually always a support item because cores don't really want to lose 30 attack damage. It really slows down their ability to farm and to kill enemy heroes. But as a support, usually our right clicks are not that important because we're not really farming that frequently. And usually what we do is throw out some key spells and not even that many spells, to be honest. So the mana helps us with our spell casting, and we're not really hurt by the negative attack damage. So it's usually going to a support. Now, if you have a choice between both supports that kind of want it, I might throw the priority to whoever needs a key item first. So someone like Earthshaker, he's trying to get a blink as soon as he can. So letting him hold the Philosopher's Stone for a little bit, that's pretty good because he will get his blink a little sooner, and as soon as he has his blink, he can start winning team fights for you or initiating ganks and all of that. And then after that, he can hopefully trade it back. And then whoever is not farming can benefit from this because this way they don't have to take farm, but they're still getting some gold. They're not going to be some dirt poor support who can't contribute anything because they have no money. What everyone can do, support or core, is that when you die, and especially if tier 3s and 4s have already dropped and no one really needs the Philosopher's Stone, use it when you're dead. When you die, pick it out of your neutral stash, swap it in, you will get the bonus gold. And then when you respawn, swap it back out. This is just free gold. It's good to do. It's hard to do. I forget to do it a lot, guys. But it is something worthwhile to do. So do it. Let's continue. Clumsy Net. So this can be a support or a core item. People like Bloodseeker or Viper who are very scary and people tend to just teleport away from them. That's the bane of that core, right? And so they could build an item to fix this, something like a Eul Scepter or a Rod of Atos. If they don't build those items, though, people just keep TPing away from them. But the Clumsy Net kind of fixes that for free. So it's really strong on those cores. But it's not always needed. Sometimes you have someone who has a stun like Lina or Storm Spirit, and then they don't really need the Clumsy Net as much. Actually, as it so happens, Lina does like Clumsy Net because it's another way to set up her stun. So maybe she wasn't the best example. But some mids and cores, all of them, they don't really need the Clumsy Net. And in that case, it becomes pretty solid on a support because the root, first off, you root your target, and it also roots yourself. And so many cores don't want to get rooted because then they can't move around and do things in the fight. But a support, that's okay. You're like, okay, let me root that guy. The core can hit him, and I'll just chill here. So the self root is not a big deal to us, and so it's pretty good on supports. The 5 all attributes, also nice. It's not like massive, but I mean it's 5 free stats, so that's cool. And then the 2 mana regen is also pretty solid because I think, at least the supports I play, but I think every support, because you have to balance your slots out pretty well, it feels like mana regen is a constant struggle, and that's why buying Clarities is so popular. So anytime a neutral item will provide you some mana regen, it's quite nice. It lets you not have to buy so many Clarities, and it saves you a bit of money. Every Clarity is 50 gold, which, that's cheap, but it adds up if you buy like 5 to 10 Clarities over a game. 10's a little on the high side. Well, maybe not. It kind of depends. Pupil's Gift. This is a survivability item for the most part. It depends on what your primary stat is. So if you're an agility hero, you get strength and intelligence. If you're an intelligence hero, strength and agi, and if you're strength, agi and int. I have the stats and what they give you up here. I mean, they give you some other minor stats, but these are the main things you should think about. A lot of supports are intelligence heroes, which means when they pick up this item, it represents 260 HP. That's kind of nuts. It's a lot of HP and a decent amount of armor too, 2 1/6. The attack speed we don't really care about, and you kind of care about it, but also not that much. It's really that boost to your health and a little bit of armor to protect you from the right-clicking enemy cores. If you're a strength hero, you benefit from this item because it helps your mana pool. A lot of strength heroes have pretty bad mana pool, someone like Ogre. And because you're a strength hero and you're decently healthy, the extra armor is nice to just tank you up. And then if you're an agility hero, it's pretty nice because you're getting health and mana, but there aren't that many agility supports, so so overall it's a pretty decent item, but actually it's it's pretty solid, so most cores will want this item. And, or at least one of the cores is going to want this item. So oftentimes it's like a hand-me-down item that you won't get till later. And at that point, maybe 260 HP doesn't actually save your life, but it's certainly still very helpful. So if survivability is your issue, this is a pretty solid item for you. Now, another kind of survivability stat item is the Vambrace. Also very popular with cores, but when you get a chance, when it gets handed down, it's not a bad option. And I'm not really even going to talk about having it on agility or intelligence, because if you're picking this up as a survivability item or as a support, it's as a survivability item, so you're probably going to leave it on strength. Though, this is something I should practice, but if you're carrying the Vambrace, you could actually tread swap with it. Or I guess Vambrace swap with it. So if that's something you want to practice, go for it. But if you just leave it at strength and like forget about it, I do that all the time, and I made it to Immortal, so, you know, don't sweat it. Because it's pretty solid. Strength. When it's on strength, you get 10 strength, so that's 200 health points, and then it gives you plus 10 magic resist, which brings you from 25% to 32.5. And we're going to go into that a little bit more later. But on the other attributes, it's just not such a big deal. Like 10 agility, okay, you get like a little bit of armor, a little bit of attack speed, but that's not really what supports do. And if you put it on intelligence, okay, cool. Like if you need mana pool, this is an option. But it's not usually that much of an issue, especially because when you have it on strength, you still get 5 intelligence. So, you know, how badly do you need 72 more mana? It's not usually such a big deal, but I mean, sometimes it is. So if you really need it, yeah, have it on intelligence, I guess. But I think strength is its best used as a support. So before we go into the magic resist of that one, I wanted to talk about Nether Shawl, because this is another survivability item specifically for magic, because it has a negative -3 armor. If you're dealing with like a Phantom Assassin, probably don't want this item because I don't want to get one shot by the PA all the time by a random dagger. But if the enemy core is like Morphling, then okay, 3 armor for 25 magic resistance, like, it's not bad. You know, it's really buffing you up. And if you take a look, it takes your 25% base magic resistance to 43.75. And so if you have 800 HP, which is kind of on the lower end for many supports, usually you'll be past this by the time you get a Nether Shawl, but it puts you to roughly 1400 effective HP to magic damage. So you would actually have a little less to physical damage. But if you're thinking about effective magic HP, then this is kind of what it turns your health pool to. We don't really care about the spell damage, but that is kind of a benefit. But really you're thinking about, does this help me in terms of magic resist? And then hopefully you benefit from the spell damage. But I wouldn't pick this because I just need more spell damage, because again, I just don't think that's what supports should be thinking about. Now to compare it to the Vambrace, the key point is, the turning point, sorry, is 1000 HP. So you'll see that if you had 1000 HP and you picked up a Nether Shawl, that would put you at 1777 effective HP. If you were at 1000 HP with a Vambrace and you set it to strength, that would boost your health pool to 1200, and then taking into account your slightly less magic resistance, that happens to put you at 1777 effective HP. I did not know these numbers before I made this video, but actually it turns out to be quite helpful. What this means is that if you are below 1000 HP, getting a Vambrace would give you more effective HP versus magic, and if you are above 1000 HP, then grabbing a Nether Shawl is more effective for protecting you from magic. It's never that easy because it's literally impossible to have a pure... Sorry, I should be careful with the word pure. A 100% magic damage lineup. You can have teams that are heavily magic damage focused, but it's pretty rare, and every hero has right clicks. But if you are dealing with like Pugna... Oh, God, I should have thought of more heroes before making this video. Panic. Who? Pugna, Zeus. These kind of magic damage heroes who don't really do that much right click, And then their carry is like, who'd we use? We said Morphling. Okay, Morphling has some right-click damage, but let's say you have like Morphling Pugna Zeus. In that case, -3 armor is like not the end of the world, and the plus 25 magic resistance is massive. So it's like, okay, that's pretty good. But say they have like PA, we'll say Zeus again, and then like, oh god, Underlord. Underlord's like some magic, some right click, right? Maybe Beastmaster's a better example. He's a bit more right click focused with some magic. And then in those cases, you know, Nethershaw, like, okay, it helps with my magic, but then they have physical, and I'm actually hurting myself to physical. In that case, the 200 HP from Vambrace is pretty nice when you have this mix of I'm worried about magic damage, I'm worried about physical damage, maybe I'm worried about pure damage too. Oh, Quap's a good example. She does a good mix of magic, pure, and right click. So do you want a Nethershaw against her? Or maybe just tanking up with the Vambrace, because just flat HP is really good against pure damage, and because she does a mix of right click and magic, the Vambrace is a little better for that. That's all I have to say about this. Let's continue. Essence Ring. So this is another survivability item. To translate what the intelligence gives you, it has 2.5 mana regen, but then 6 intelligence also gives you a little bit more. So for yourself, this is 2.8 mana per second. Arcane Boots, if you translate them to mana per second just for yourself, it's roughly 2.9. So I wanted to throw that up there just to give you guys a reference, like, this Essence Ring is a lot of mana. However, you know, that's not the best comparison, because Arcane Boots does affect your teammates, so, like, you would still get Arcane Boots if you need Arcane Boots. But in terms of just mana regen, like, Essence Ring is a really solid item. And that is what a lot of intelligence supports struggle with. It's not mana pool, but mana regen. The active for 425 HP is fantastic. It is a lot of gold value. If you needed this in strength stats, it would be 21.25, which if you were trying to buy that, that would be roughly 2,000 gold. And that is kind of nutty if you think about it. You know, every time you use this active, 2,000 gold worth of extra health. However, look at the mana cost, 200. That is a lot. It's a lot of mana. 6 intelligence only gives you 6 intelligence only gives you 72 mana points, which means the cost of using this item in thinking about your total mana pool is not offset by Essence Ring. So this is best on intelligence heroes who usually have enough mana to cast everything they need and then some, and their issue is that they don't actually regen enough of their massive mana pool. However, heroes like, okay, Crystal Maiden, even though she's intelligence, or like Ogre Magi, their mana pool is small, but their spells are kind of, you know, usually not too expensive to fit that. But what it means is that they don't have that much leeway. They're like, if I'm at full mana, I can cast most of my spells, and that's kind of it. So throwing on the Essence Ring means that you're not going to be able to cast all your spells if your mana pool is not high enough. So you do have to be careful of that. Look at your spells, count how much they all cost, then count the 200 mana, and see, like, do I actually have enough mana to use everything in a team fight? Does it require me to be sitting at full mana pool to use this item and everything else? Or am I someone who has a large mana pool, and I can use this item, I can use all my spells, and then still have some? That is when Essence Ring feels the best. You may not have to worry about this, because a lot of cores, especially int cores, take this item because it's really good. But eventually, like the hand-me-down effect, by the time it gets to you, maybe your mana pool is pretty good, and then that's helpful. So this is a good mix of just being a regen item. So like on Jakiro, I like this a lot just to have more mana regen. And Jakiro has a pretty decent mana pool, such that if I have to use this ring in a fight, I can. And, you know, even if I'm someone like Ogre, just having this item for the mana regen is kind of nice still. And if you don't get to use the active, it's like, that's too bad. But if you do have to choose to use the active, just try to be aware. You know, don't use this preemptively and then realize, like, shoot, I don't have the mana to use my stun. And now this guy, like, blinks away or something. So identify what's the most important spell you have. Will I have enough mana to cast that before using this ring? Just kind of keep it in mind. I know it's hard, but it's important to do because this is a lot of mana. 200 And at a 25-second cooldown means if you use this too often, it'll really eat through your mana pool. Dragon Scale. Not too common as a support item. It is a survivability item just because it's, 5 armor. That's a pretty good amount. 5 HP regen, also pretty solid amount. So in terms of just surviving, this is a solid choice. The effect boosts your right-click damage so that when you hit stuff, it burns for 18 damage, 3 seconds, which comes out to 54 damage total before reductions. It is magic damage, so it can be reduced. This is really nice against towers. So if your team is really bad at pushing towers, say you have like Ursa, Zeus. I really should think of these heroes ahead of time. I panic. I'm like, ah. But let's go with Ursa and Zeus. Both of them, Ursa will kill the heroes. Zeus will push the wave, and then they're like, don't actually have tower damage. Dragon Scale can help with that. So if your team is winning and no one wants to carry the Dragon Scale, I will sometimes backpack Dragon Scale, and after we win a big fight, I will pop it in to do a bit of extra building damage if my team really needs it. And I mean, on some heroes, it's not bad to just carry in general, just because armor and HP regen, that's actually pretty solid for many supports. But just think about what you need or not. In terms of damage on enemy heroes, 54 damage is a lot, but you can't repeatedly right-click, otherwise it doesn't stack, it refreshes. So if you hit someone with this, they tick for once, 18 damage, you hit them again, you refresh the 3-second duration. So it's not like you're getting 54, 108, so on and so forth. Do you see how fast I did that? Nice. You're getting 54, 18 damage, and then it's okay, hit him again, plus another 54, but I didn't get the full 54, if that makes sense. It's 18 plus 18 plus 18 plus 54 until the last time you auto attack. Usually a core item, very often on cores. Ring of Aquila, only aura item of the tier 2 neutrals, and that's kind of its selling point. So if you remember Ring of Aquila before it got removed from the game, people were realizing that it was a very good tower push item, and you would start to see it on non-agi heroes, people like Invoker or Necrophos. And it kind of confused some people, but the reason people were doing it was because of the 2 armor aura. And it worked on creeps. Oh my god, I don't know if it still works on creeps. The wiki is telling me it still works on creeps, which, I was pretty sure it did, but I wasn't 100% sure. Kind of not the reason you fully get it anymore anyways. Well, sort of it is, but the point is, it was a very good tower push item because you would boost up your creeps, and people would get it really early for that purpose. Ring of Aquila now can't drop till 17 minutes, and you probably aren't carrying it till a bit later, because probably one of your cores wants this item first, and so you're only carrying it later, where 2 armor on the creeps is not a huge deal. What it is pretty solid for, especially if no one else wants it around the 17-minute mark, is that it still provides the same aura, this 1.25 mana regen and 2 armor. For yourself, you actually get 3.5 armor and 1.4 mana regen because of the stats. And that's pretty solid, especially when dealing with PA. She's my go-to physical damage enemy. When you're getting shot one burst by PA, extra armor really helps. It doesn't give you that much strength for mana or for a health pool, but in just flat armor for yourself is a pretty decent pickup. And for your team, it's an aura. So if you're grouping a lot as a team, what keeps that going? It's everyone needs to be healthy, so giving them that armor aura to protect them from right clicks helps them stay a little healthier to keep grouping up. And, they cast their spells. If they run out of mana, they can't keep going. So having this to help with that is great, especially if you've already picked up a... well, Basilius doesn't stack, but if you have some other... As I make these videos, I come to realize that there's stuff I'm not fully sure about in Dota, and so I had to check. This does stack with Basilius. This is a lie. It's because the armor aura, if I could read, the armor aura doesn't stack between the two, but Basilius doesn't even give armor anymore. So this is just kind of old. And so, in fact, the mana regen does stack between Bassi, Veil, Aquila, all of that. So it's really cheap. If you already had a Basilius, and now you pick up a Ring of Aquila, you are now giving... 3, well, less than 3, 2.5 2.5 mana regen to everyone in the area, and that is really solid, especially if you think back to the Arcane Boots I said was about 2.9 mana per second if everyone was always grouped up. So if someone has Arcane Boots, if someone has Basilius, someone has a Veil or a Vlad's, and then someone picks up this Ring of Aquila, your whole team is getting a ton of mana when they're all together. So it really helps to keep a push together. And so when my team is struggling versus right-click or negative armor, someone like Slider or Venge is on the enemy team, I like to pick up Ring of Aquila casually. It's not really casually. It's like full intent, try hard. I have the Ring of Aquila to help my team if we're group pushing. Now, if my team is very split up, then the aura doesn't really do much. So, you know, not very helpful. To finish off, let's take a look at this nifty graph I made that's not very good, to be honest. So I tried to divide it. I kind of already mentioned it in the items, but I kind of divide it into like 4 areas where, you know, Philosopher's Stone is the only gold-related item. But a common issue many supports are trying to fill is their mana pool or mana regen, and some of these items can help with that. Some help with survivability, some help with damage, some help with utility. Now, for damage, I really think that supports don't need to think about this that much. For themselves, anyway. So I do put value in this one because you're amplifying a core. But your own right-click damage, not so great. Your own spell damage, like what's the difference between these two? This, like, it only helps you, and your damage is probably not that great. But some people it is. So like Snapfire, Venomancer, like they kind of do enough magic damage. Lina, where it kind of justifies it, but most of us are not like that. And then like the Dragon Scale, yeah, it helps with damage, but like really you're kind of getting it as a survivability item if you're picking it up, or Tower Push. The net is really about utility and mana, but because it has 5 attributes, I wanted to overlay it here, but it kind of, I didn't want them to overlap so you couldn't tell what they were. It does help with survivability a bit, because it is 100 HP, it is a bit of armor, and so, like, it helps. They all have their different little buffs. And so, it's just sort of how I think about it. I mean, I never thought about it like this until I was making this video. But usually what I would do is, as I'm playing a game, I think, man, I'm dying. I really need something survivability. Open the neutrals, take a look, see some options, and I think I am struggling against magic because the Zeus is ulting me, and I don't know, there's a Morphling. Then I look at it and I see, oh, hey, the Vambrace is available. That is a survivability item, and it's the best for me. And I've learned now from this video is that when I'm over 1,000 HP, it is a little worse than the cloak or the shawl, whatever. But you know, if I'm worried about some right click, then Vambrace is still a little better. But if they're all magic and I need that survivability, it's like, oh, the shawl, there you go. Or if it's like I need survivability and I just kind of need raw HP, they just have like a bunch of pure damage or whatever. Hey, the Essence Ring is pretty good for that because that's the largest amount of flat HP you could get, and I don't have a mana pool issue. I just kind of think about what problems I'm facing and which of these items could help me with that, and I just try to take my best guess. All right, I was briefly thinking if I needed to to compare them to tier 1 neutrals, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to wait till we cover all the neutral items, each in their own category, and then we'll kind of do an overlay where it's like, I think this tier 1 item is better than these tier 2 items. Because at the end of the day, it really is just what's about available, so I do just want to cover all the items first, and then we'll kind of do that sort of tier list, but maybe we won't, to be honest, because it really depends on the hero. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. Okay, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye. I hope this helped with neutral items. Let me know if it didn't.